to the candy shop.
I taste just like candy.
Welcome. So everybody who is listening to Armed Radio on your TuneIn app, you can hear my dog barking in the background. People on Facebook Live, welcome, welcome, welcome to Ask for Candy, 101 ways to make your love and sweeter. Haru, hush! See, he's just as excited as we are right now. Haru, who is sometimes my doggy house guest, is here with us. And I also have a lovely, lovely guest with me who I'm going to introduce in a second. But if you are listening in the garden on Armed Radio Global, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're joining us live on Facebook, I'm so glad to have you. Definitely join the Creative Love Collective and become part of the group, because that way you can even watch this show and then get other little juicy bits and things that I like to post. And if you want to call in tonight, the number is 1-800-508-5431. We're waiting by the phone, and you can comment, you can question, whatever you want. You can also do that here live on Facebook. Or you can send us an email if something comes up and you're private and shy and you don't want to talk about it. You can email me at askforcandypodcast@gmail.com. So now it is time for me to introduce my very, very special guest, Miss Lovely Liz Arizaga. Hi, Liz.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. And I'm so happy that you are here, that you were able to join me. Now, tonight, Liz and I are doing a little special kind of single lady, married lady kind of thing. And I want Liz to go ahead and say hi to everybody and introduce herself. And what do you want to say, Liz?
I would say hi. I want to say thank you for inviting me and thinking of me. And I want to remind you that the last time we had a conversation, I said we're going to work together somehow. So, yeah, you invited me to speak about relationship from the perspective of a married woman.
Yes.
And I think I have that experience.
Girl. I love it. So you can kick some knowledge tonight. We have some interesting questions. You know, we're going to talk a little bit about these different articles and stuff. You know, people write all kinds of stuff, I feel like, about being married, about being single from their points of view. We all have our points of view, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that sometimes when we're reading an article, it's nice to actually be able to like get in conversation with someone about it. Like sometimes when I read stuff that people write, I want to be able to like talk to them about what it is they're really saying. Mm-hmm. So tonight, the articles that we have, we're actually going to be able to give a little back talk and what we think is really the truth, and like really say what's on our minds, because, you know, inquiring minds want to know. Right? I see all kinds of people who's come in. We got Ramon and Anne-Marie and Joey and D'Angelo and Vanessa and Shariah and Rebecca and Joe. What's up, Joe Savino? We love Joe. And Bex, she's like, I'm sorry, I'm late. It's okay, honey. You were right on time. Shariah says, hi, Miss Candace. Hey, girl, hey. So, as always, I'm Candace Harper, Love Coach. My talent is conversation. My passion is personal growth. And my purpose is to teach and inspire radical self-acceptance and self-love in others so that we can all have the best possible love life. So that is why we are here. That is the sort of thing that we're going to talk about. Our goal tonight is to have you walking away completely feeling shame-free and comfortable with whatever stage you're at, whatever age you're at, whatever's going on in your love life right now. So here's the rundown. Today, like I said, we're going to talk about our articles. First, I'm going to give you a little bit about my singlehood story. Ooh, girl. You know, they always say, why are you single? I'm going to answer that question. And then Liz is going to give you a little bit about her married lady story. Ooh, girl. Twice over. Now, you talk about them, you know, however much you want to talk about. If you want to talk about both of them, you can. If you want to talk about... I was just going to say, I could dabble in the other one too, you know. Whatever you feel about. Whatever feels right.
Kidding, Malik. I'm kidding.
Right? Malik's the current one, so we want to make sure he's happy at the end too. Right? Okay. So then we are going to talk about, we're going to give a little advice, because Liz is going to give a little advice for single women who want to get married. Like, I feel like sometimes when we're single, we sort of romanticize marriage, and we sort of like have this idea that it is the happiness key. So Liz is going to give a little bit of advice, you know, whatever she's feeling about that after we talk a little bit. And I'm going to give a little advice for married women who want to be single, which amazingly enough, there are a lot of you out there, which, you know, same thing. That grass is always greener on the other side. Mm-hmm. And so it's good to sort of assess all your eggs before you put them all in or out of your basket. And then we're going to do Ask for Candy 3 ways to make love and life sweeter, like we always do. And we'll sign off. You know, I always give you a sign off question, something to think about for the rest of the week. And then we'll be finished. We have a lot to cover, though.
Me too.
Yeah. So how should we do this? Do you want to go first with your article, or shall I go first? What we did was we downloaded 2 different articles. One is the 10 best things about being married. And the other one is the 10 best things about being single. And this is definitely the 10 best about being married is from what? The Weddings HuffPost?
HuffPost Weddings.
And it's written by, what's her name?
Kelly Khalil.
Okay, so Kelly Khalil, this is her opinion on the 10 best things about getting married. And I have someone named Laura Belota, who's a dating coach who has a website, I think it's called singleinthecity.com, and she gives the 10 best things about being single. But let's do one at a time. How do you feel about that? And you tell me first what you feel about what she's saying, because you're coming from a frame of reference, and then we'll get into it.
So the first point that she says is you can call, text, email, and say whatever's on your mind without fear of scaring him or her off. Agreed.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely like the mind playing, the how much do I say, how much do I reveal, how much do I hold back. I'm not going to say it's all gone, but for, like I've been married 4 years and I don't censor myself when texting him. And I don't think he censors himself, or maybe he does. He's a little bit scared of me.
I don't know why. That's the way it should be. I'm scared.
No, but I just feel like it's refreshing. It's a relief. You don't have to like walk on eggshells. You don't have to say, did I say too much, or pull back. I hate that whole game playing, like when you're first dating and like, could I say that I had a great time at dinner? Oh no, but then I look like I'm reaching out first, or how many days before I respond, or blah, 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 whatever, all those, mind games that you play when you're dating.
Yeah.
It's off. It's over. It's like, dude, take the meat out of the freezer, please.
I'll see you later. Bye.
So I think she's actually on point with that.
See, I agree with you. I mean, that's one of the things that I love and hate about, especially because of texting, because I'm dating myself. I dated at a time when texting wasn't around. Mm-hmm. But one thing I find as a single person dating, it's like texting almost has to be a skill when you're not, when the relationship's not done deal yet. It's almost like you have to be so skillful at it because
strategery.
Exactly. But things are so easily misconstrued, and because of tone and all of that stuff, there's definitely that. But I also think about, if texting were around back when my parents were younger, and I think about it, I mean, my parents are still together, and I think about how they are now. I think that their generation, there was a certain level of still holding back. I feel like, and I don't know if it's because they're not they're a little before baby boomers. But, I don't know if it comes from the 50s or what it is, but there was still that between husbands and wives, this sort of decorum. My mother never farted in front of my dad. No. You know what I mean? No. So I wonder if.
No, there's just definitely this whole thing of back then, because my parents are still married too, and they've been married for over 40 years. And my mom was always like, oh, in Spanish, tienes que arreglarte, you have to be all dressed up and whatever. And you have
put on your makeup before you get home.
Exactly. And, have his meal ready and all that other stuff. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah. You're no, this is what you got, honey.
That didn't happen.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing. It's one of the healthy things that came out of our generation. We're that crossover generation between, sort of faking it to letting it all hang out.
Well, I have this theory, and I spoke to a friend of mine about it, that we're the same age, right?
Yeah, I think so.
We kind of
no. You can guess it.
But no, it's just I feel like we're that next generation right after the women's movement, the 70s. So we're the 80s kind of coming up, not 80s kids, but 80s growing up. Yeah. And we've had women start joining the workforce.
Yes.
And bigger numbers.
Working girl.
And yeah, exactly. And then we're we can pursue a career. Like that's the path that I think our generation was like, pursue the career without any guilt.
Yes.
Go and like just be the independent woman.
Yes.
You know, and don't worry about, you know, getting married, or not to say not to get married, but don't worry about those things. Don't let that factor into, you know, you going, you know, full force with your career.
Yeah.
So I feel like that makes a huge difference.
Yeah. No,
for relationships.
Yeah. Meaning that you don't have to have that sort of like facade of perfection.
Exactly.
It's like, because I can survive without you. So take me as I am, right? Like,
well,
here I am, farts and all, right? All right. So what else does it say?
Oh, it says you'll have someone to take care of you in sickness. And that for me,
that's a big one.
Yeah, it hits home because that's so after 2 years of being married, my husband had a stroke. Mm-hmm. He was 43 at the time. And it's a very scary situation. And thank God, you know, he's recovering now, and he's still recovering. But it really shakes you to the core as to like, how is this going to happen? What's going to happen? Like, even just being from a little selfish perspective, but like, if he's paralyzed, like, you know, how is your life changing? Yeah. You know, for the rest of your life and his life. And that's something that you really have to feel like you have to consider it. Like, is that something that you can do with the person that you're going to marry? And nobody wants to think about it because that, you know, at our age, everybody thinks they're immortal. You know, you're going to live forever, and you never factor that into the equation. But somebody can have an accident, you know. Yeah. I mean, health is a huge, huge, huge thing. As far as like that particular point that she made. And I don't think of it just as like, oh, you have the flu and you need somebody to bring, you know, chicken soup, she says. But, you know, like the major illness. Yeah. You know, you want somebody who's gonna be supportive and push you and motivate you to your recovery, and, you know, not abandon you, because sometimes people just don't know how to handle that. Yeah. And they walk away.
Yeah, right. It's funny that you say that, because I think, you know, being single, you know, obviously we're in our 40s, being single in our 40s, like for me, having...
It wasn't so obvious.
Huh? It wasn't obvious?
I could have married older.
I mean, we're talking about... That's true. But you're talking about working girl and stuff like that. So, I mean, for me, being single in my 40s, it's like in the last relationship I was in, that was something that came up. I was like, would I trust this person if something were to happen to me and I were to get really sick? And it's funny that you say that, because, you know, like we were talking earlier, and I was telling you how that happened. The same thing happened with my parents. My father had a stroke, you know, around our age, or, you know, but I was like, the last person I was with, I was like, he is barely there to take care of himself, let alone like if I were to end up in the hospital, and if he were to end up in the hospital, you know, I mean, I know that I would be there because that's how I was raised. I was raised to like, you know, if I care about somebody, to be there for them, you know, but I was like, is our relationship intimate enough and strong enough that it would be something that I would do out of love for him or out of obligation? And that was part of what...
That's a good point.
Right?
That's a good point.
That's part of what broke down our relationship, because I was like, you know what? With him, I did love him, but I was like, I think that if he were to get sick, I would be there out of obligation, because I don't see us as, you know, I see us as good for each other in the sense that we challenged each other and we grew each other in a lot of ways, but not long-term good for each other. So, you know, I think you're right.
He's the person for a season.
Right? Exactly. Yeah,
no, it's that obligation thing. That's a good one. Right? That's a good one. Nobody wants, difference. You know, you don't want to feel, and I'm definitely, I didn't, I've not felt one day obligated. I think I'm a natural caretaker or caregiver. But it is something that most couples will not discuss. And like you revealed how we're in our 40s, and, you know, illness, you know, plays a major role.
Yeah, it does. It just does.
It doesn't have to be center, but, you know, it does play a major role in who you pick as your partner.
Totally. And then too, it's like the, you know, then you have to sort of be on the same sort of health regimens and like, you know, helping each other out and supporting all of that. It can be a commitment. So unless you really love that person, it's like when you're single, you're thinking, oh, you know, when I get married, it's going to be this. But if you do go through something like that, like it's not worth it to be married unless you really want to be in the thick of that, right?
Exactly. No,
unless you know that you're down for the ride.
It's life altering. But I think Malik and I have a very good balance in the sense that like we're both very like, it's like, oh well, and then let's figure this out.
Yeah.
You know, and I know
like you don't
a stroke is a huge thing to go, oh well, but it was like, okay, so shift our focus to getting better.
Yeah.
Shift our focus to restoring, you know, back to and pushing him, and he'll tell you I'm Nurse Ratchet.
Really?
Totally. I was
You're
like,
like,
you know.
medicine.
But it's just a point of like, you know, to like we were talking earlier about, you know, people who have strokes and they tend to get depressed. It was just kind of like to get him out of his head.
Yeah.
You know, to give a goal and have something to accomplish so that you're not sitting there all day thinking about why did this happen to me?
Yeah.
Especially a younger person, you know?
Definitely.
So.
And 43 is young. I mean, that is young.
Woo! I know that was heavy.
That's all right. That's good. That's what we're here for. Listen, if you guys have any comments, if you guys have been through anything, if you have any comments about like love and commitment and going through the sicknesses and going through the hard times, feel free to comment here on Facebook Live, or if you want to call in 1-800-508-5431. We'll take your questions, your suggestions, your commentary, whatever's coming up for you, whatever you're feeling on this little journey. What else we got, Liz? What else is
Okay.
on the list?
You'll have a permanent sing-along, dance-along, and adventure-along buddy. And that's kind of true.
Yeah.
As long as your tastes align, I guess. Well, for the most part, ours do. But it is cool to have somebody that you can, you know, first of all, to bring back the first point is to be yourself.
Yeah.
And then do all kinds of, I don't know, crazy things. Go wine tasting or go, you know, hiking or go, I don't know, whatever it is that you love to do or enjoy. And knowing that that person will, they may not love it, but they'll try it just to make you happy, and then vice versa.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
All right. That's a good one. I like that. I mean, who doesn't want a partner in crime? Right?
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
Right? Like somebody that you just is like, you know, your road dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, new name for Malik.
Road dog.
The next is you'll have a 2-person team to handle everything. Yeah, that's pretty true. Like, you know, you go, just even household chores and stuff, that's just boring. But if you have somebody else to help you do the laundry or to, you know, clean the house or, I don't know, plan a party, go food shopping or whatever, it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
You know?
Like even the bringing in the grocery bags, like somebody to carry the heavy, like the milk and the dishwashing liquid and the bottles of water.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I see Tammy. Hi, Tammy just joined. She says, hi, beauties. Hi, gorgeous love.
How are you?
I'm glad you're here.
Okay, the next one. I think we already touched on this. You'll have a cheerleader and partner in crime.
Yes.
So that's very true. And that's really important. I think that somebody who's supportive of you in whatever way and like encouraging, that just makes such a world of difference.
Yeah. Now, see, I'm starting to feel like with these, it's coming from the space of having, because I think you picked well, obviously. I mean, I remember like back in the day, years ago, before you married Malik, when we were both single girls, I remember like, you know, it's not like I saw you all the time, but we used to hang out with the wine and the dancing and all of that stuff. And so it's like, you know, obviously when you're in the space of being single and you're dating or whatever, tell us a little bit about what it was that indicated to you that Malik is like, that's it. Okay, I'm ready to be off the market. Like, because you ended up with somebody who is fitting, like, because all of these things are like the ideal things when you marry somebody, right?
Yeah.
But we don't necessarily pick. Like my last partner, I didn't necessarily pick well enough to have all these things be true. If I would have married him, a lot of this would not have been true.
No. Like I didn't have my clipboard and, you know, like Malik, you have this, you do that, you know, not at all. And it just happens to be that we started, I think we started dating in, let's say, January.
Okay.
And then by September, we ended up taking a trip together.
Oh.
We went to Paris. Actually, we went to France, not just Paris. We went to the south of France, which I'd never been to before, and then we went to Paris.
Okay.
And it was, oh God, it was so like spot on romantic, but it's also like we worked well together as a team traveling abroad. You know, that could have been like a disaster, you know, and you're like, we were there for 2 weeks. So that's a long time to travel with somebody.
They say that's the test too. This is going on a trip with someone.
If you ask him, he'll say like, that's when I knew.
Oh.
And for me, I was just like, you know, happy. Like, how can I say this? It was just natural. It flowed. Yeah. You know, it was just not, it's like effortless. I'm not saying everything was like, oh, you know, the best or whatever, but it was just, you know, out of 15 days that we were together, 14 and a half were great.
That's awesome.
You know,
And so what was the proposal story?
You know, the proposal was not even him.
You know what we forgot to do? Not to interrupt you, but we forgot to do that. We're going to have to do that whole segment about our single story, our married story. Because this all aligns with, I completely forgot about that, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. What am I going ahead for?
No, the proposal story.
Oh, the proposal. It wasn't really like that romantic proposal where he got down on his knee. It was more practical. Okay. And we were just both talking. I mean, we had talked about it, but we weren't like, whatever. And one day, I think it was a Saturday, we were sitting at home and we're like, yeah, let's do it. Like, it was like.
And did you like go and run and do it? Or like, what did you do? I mean, I know that you had a wedding and everything like that, but what did, like,
it was,
did you just start planning right away?
Oh, yeah. I was on Pinterest. Like, I called my vision board. Not vision board. My board was like second time around. Yeah. And just then we decided to have, because that's the one thing that we both love entertaining. So it was like, okay, so yeah, let's do this and have like a fabulous party. So it was, the theme was Great Gatsby meets Cotton Club.
I love it.
So it was awesome. You know, everybody came dressed like in the 20s theme. We had the reception at CONVO.
I remember CONVO. It was a great Italian restaurant here in New York. And actually, a friend of mine who's a friend of the owner, he ended up opening up another spot further downtown. Bono. Yeah, CONVO was so good. I haven't been to Bono. Have I been to Bono? I've never been to Bono.
It's good.
Yeah, I feel like Bono's like over by City College, right?
50 something.
Yes, I have
one in Broadway.
I feel like I have been there. Listen, everybody who doesn't live in New York, I'm sorry, but when you come to New York, go to Bono because this restaurateur, his restaurants are really good. Yeah. So also, you're a sommelier, aren't you? Liz knows a lot about wine. So at some point, if we have time, we're going to get to that. Next time, we're actually going to have wine. This time around, we're drinking water because I'm on a cleanse.
Why are you spilling the beans
about that? I can tell what's going on. We're gonna have again, since I'm drinking it on, like if you're on Facebook Live, you can see me with this big wine glass that's full of tap water. But what we're gonna have next time when
I have one too.
You have one too. Next time when you come, we're gonna have like a good red wine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right now we're just,
or maybe it's rosé.
We're faking it. I think on the radio it sounds like, if you can hear the clink of the glass, it sounds like we're drinking wine. So I ruined the illusion, but maybe we'll just pretend.
Oh, okay. Dare to dream.
Exactly. All right. So what else? What else?
Legal rights. That is so important. Yeah. People are like, oh, I know men like to say this. It's just a piece of paper. It's just a piece of paper. No, honey. It's a bunch of rights that you sign up for. Yeah. So I know this because getting out of my first marriage is a lot.
Tell us.
It's a lot. So basically, we opened up a business together, which is great. It was a wine bar. We loved it. We just kind of, it was awful. Like it takes a unique couple to work together. And we were not that couple. We were not that unique couple. And it was excruciating. It was painful. But I'll be completely honest and open. When we opened the place up, I put up most of the money. I put up like 99% of the money to open it. Yeah. So while we were going through the open, every time I went to a lawyer, it was like, nope, it's 50-50. You have to split it 50-50. And thinking back now, hindsight's 2020, I should have just said, fine, I'll walk away with something. And, I'll have had this experience and maybe do it again on my own or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, my ego wouldn't let me.
You're like,
And I held on to it, and I was just like, no. And in the end, we lost it.
Oh, wow.
So we both walked away with nothing.
Is that the law in New York that everyone gets half in a divorce, no matter? Is it like California? I did not know that.
So it makes a huge difference, and that's why I guess you need to really understand what it is you're getting into. If the person has debt already, you know, it's important because that debt could follow you.
Yeah.
You know, through the marriage. If they owe back taxes, that shit is like ridiculous because they don't care that you got divorced. They don't, whatever. Yeah. They're like, they want their money and they go after you. So it's just important to have that kind of conversation where you're completely honest about like your debt, your goals with money, and what you want to do. Like, do you aspire to have savings together? Do you want to keep things separate?
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
I wonder though, is there a way, because here's my thing too, like one of the things that, and it's weird how like one thing affects another, but for me, like I have a little bit of commitment phobia. Like part of me loves the idea of being in a commitment and being in a marriage, and the other part of me is like a little phobic of it. But what speaks to that phobia is one thing is like I have big student loans, like I still have student loan debt. So I think like in as much as I know in a partnership, I'm a great, like loving partner. And I don't even mean that to be conceited. Like when I'm in it, but I'm like, I don't want to burden someone else with my debt or my financial issues or things like that. So like that has been one thing that is sort of like, you know, the idea of marriage and legal stuff and the tying it all together. Like you can't marry somebody without, you know, marrying all your stuff, you know, your credit, your all of that. And so it's like, here we are at an age where we've lived, we've, you know, done different things. We've had different, you know, issues happen and credit looks one way or another. You know, like I said, I have student loans, that sort of stuff. It's like, how do you resolve, you know, what did you do? Like with Malik, if you want to tell this, it's personal, but did you just like jump in to this marriage knowing, you know, like, did you guys have a discussion before you got married? This is my situation. This is my situation. We're just going to put it together. No. Okay. Okay.
No, we didn't. And I mean, fortunately, it's worked out so far.
Okay.
But wait, you know, that aspect has had its ups and downs. But like I said, you know, you need to be forthcoming because it isn't really fair for somebody to not know, especially let's say, for example, you commingle your funds, you have a joint bank account, and then all of a sudden somebody owes back taxes.
Yeah.
And they put a lien on your account. And there's, you know,
everybody's screwed.
You're like, what? I mean, and there's ways to fix that or whatever, but you just, it's a horrible moment. And it's, you know, like for me, I'm Virgo, like controlling. And so, you know, you're like, no, this isn't working. So it's just one of those things where you have to be very honest. I mean, you're not alone. Everybody has student debt, you know?
Yeah.
And you shouldn't set that barrier out there for yourself.
Just tell them right off the bat.
Well, no, I'm just saying like
I know you like me, but
no, I'm not saying like here, look, here's my
here's my financials.
How much, yeah, exactly.
Do you still like me?
But I just meant mentally for yourself, like to take that out of the equation.
Yeah.
So like why you can or cannot meet somebody.
Yeah.
Because it's just
or marry somebody. Meeting is a snap.
Yeah, I'm marrying.
It's the marrying that's like. Ugh.
I mean, there's so many more obstacles, and then we just put stuff in. Things can be fixed. Everything is like, my whole motto is find a way, find a way, find a way.
Yeah,
so you have to like you know,
that.
If for 30 years you're going to like pay them $50 a month or whatever, then boom, you know, so be it. But that shouldn't stop you from living your life or like from finding your partner or, you know, getting married.
I hear that. That makes sense.
And so you have to meet somebody that feels the same way.
Right? And it's like, all right, we got this, baby. You know, as long as you're doing what you need to do, we'll be all right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think I've met him yet. But it's okay. You know, exactly. You never know. Anything's possible. So we're holding out positive hope. What else does it?
Okay.
This say?
So shared financial goals, which kind of ties into what we were talking about.
Yeah. But you know what I think, and not to interrupt you, because I want to hear what you say about that. In the conversation that we're having, what I'm also hearing, because I always say this when it comes to picking a partner, what I don't think we do enough is kind of get on the same page with the people that we start dating, in the sense of not just our finances, but like, what kind of life do you want to live? Like, you know, do you see yourself traveling, or do you want to have kids and live in a house and raise a family? Like, you know, are you strict with children? Are you, you know, do you want things to go this way or that way? Like, I feel like if more of us were willing to kind of have that conversation before it goes too far, there would be a lot less divorce.
So wouldn't that be kind of like a questionnaire?
Exactly. And I think that's great. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with like having a questionnaire kind of conversation when you get to a certain point. I mean, not necessarily on the first date, but I do think even on the first date, what you can do is be crystal clear about who you are and what you want without it being attached to that person. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of times people will say, like, on a first date, they'll be like, oh, what are you looking for? What do you, well, you know, I'm looking for somebody that would be marriage material because ultimately I want to get married. I think is okay to say without attaching it to the person that's sitting across from you. Like, I'm looking for you to marry me. Oh, yeah. And I don't think a lot of people do that because they think they have to have like some sort of representative and pretend like they might be down for whatever the other person's down for.
True.
I think that's what gets us. I mean, I think, and that's not to say there's one way or another, but I think that's a lot of times what gets women into trouble is that we don't want to show our hand as to what it is we really want because we feel like we might be able to, or we might be able to finesse them.
But
into what we
still
want.
Like, I don't know. There's still like that game of like, you know,
cat and mouse a little
bit. Yeah, just a little bit. And I'm not saying it from the woman's perspective. I know some women do like that, but I think men are really into that. Like, I don't think like showing all your cards at the beginning, but I think the conversation needs to be had, especially older. Like, so if you're in your 40s, I think that's a big issue because like, do you want to buy a house together? Do you like, or not together, but you know, is that a goal of yours to buy a house? Or do you want to travel? Do you want to, what kind of assets do you see yourself having, or, you know, do you have already? Like, it's one of those like weird conversations that needs to be had. Yeah. Because you could be, you know, like I could be a spender, like, you know, go shopping every weekend and, you know, whatever, and like max out the cards and then figure it out later. Or, you know, is there somebody like, okay, let's build savings and, you know, let's accomplish these financial goals. Yeah, totally. It's an important conversation. I agree. And I think too, I don't know if I think I asked my sister this before. My sister, like in my family, there's a lot of marriages and there's a lot of decades long marriages. It's just something that, you know, has happened a lot in my family. I don't have any specific examples of any one of them that I look at and say, that's what I want. Like, you know, and that's not a judgment or anything like that. I just, you know, I know them. I know what I know of them. Now, my sister, my older sister in particular, she has a very solid marriage. And I love my brother-in-law. He's like a brother. I've known him since I was 12 years old. So he's practically, you know, like blood. So, you know, but I've asked her before. I don't remember what she specifically answered about that. They, to me, are a perfect example of what you're talking about because, you know, he's in the military. He's a general in the Army now. And he started out his career when they were in college. He was in ROTC and, you know, all of that stuff. And that has been their trajectory, is like being on this same page of understanding of where they're trying to get to. And they raised two fantastic sons, one of whom is now an officer in the Army. You know, they've moved all over the world, you know, based on the Army relocating them and everything like that. And they still have a very like tight, loving, tight-knit partner in crime kind of relationship. Yeah. So yeah, I think that what you're saying is absolutely true. And it's part of what creates longevity with everything. It's like, what is the long game and are we willing to discuss it? Nobody ever discusses the long game, right? And I'm guilty. Me too. It's hard in the moment and be spontaneous. And planning was such a bad word for me up until like 2 years ago. Like I just hated planning anything because I just felt like it just went against my grain. You know, like I just didn't want to, you know, have everything just set up. I just wanted to go with the flow, and I still kind of do that, but I balance it out with a little bit of planning. I got you. You know, there's just like a little bit of discipline that has entered the picture now. Yeah. And
I would imagine as a Virgo, you would rock it. Like you would.
So now that Virgo, I am like the bohemian flower child Virgo. Okay. I am not that. I'm analytical, but not like for, you know, numbers or stuff like that. I'm analytical about people's character, you know, stuff like that. But just, yeah, whenever I read about a Virgo, I'm like, yes. And then,
wait, we got people who joined. We got Brian, Courtney, Hyam, Valerie, and Rory. Welcome, y'all. I'm glad you joined in. Listen, if you guys hear anything that resonates about the 10 best things, we're talking about the 10 best things about being married, please chime in. We love your commentary. We love your thoughts. And you can call in 1-800-508-5431 if you are listening in on your device with the TuneIn app, or if you're in the garden. We love talking about love in the garden on Armed Radio Global. So what's the next one?
Yeah,
the
let's
next.
go through
What are we
ladies,
at? We're at number
not-
8.
I know.
I don't
like-
think we're gonna get to the single one.
No,
We're
we
gonna
have
get
to get
some
to
of
the
the
single
single
one.
ones.
So number 8 is creating new family traditions.
Oh, well, that's nice.
And I like that one.
Yeah.
And I did that for the first time this year. We actually had Christmas Day at our house,
Okay.
and my parents came over.
Yeah.
And then we did like the pajama thing, which I think like the entire world decided to do this year.
Right.
But my parents, they're older, so they don't get that whole thing. But I like went out and bought them, pajamas and stuff like that. And then we just sat around, and I kind of bought them a whole bunch of little gifts, so they had like kind of flipped the experience on them instead of the kids.
Oh, I love
So
that.
it was really nice, and I was like, I like this kind of setting this new tone or new tradition or whatever. So that was cool.
You definitely don't do that when you're single. I mean, you join other people's families and you do go visit your family, but yeah, like I'm not sitting around by myself in my pajamas.
Girl, with a bottle of wine, there is
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that. No. A bottle of wine and a good book.
Not on Christmas. Any other day.
Okay. Number 9, you'll have a lifelong cuddle buddy sex partner.
That's awesome.
Yes, it is. And then spousal telepathy. Ours is off sometimes.
Really?
But there are times when I'm like, I'll, pick up the phone and to call him about something, and he's like, wow, I was just thinking about that or whatever. Like, it's just, we get on the same wavelength. Like 50% of the time.
Oh, that's a lot, though.
That's a lot?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe
I
not
think
that
that's
much.
a lot.
But yeah, I guess it's about living together. You kind of learn each other's nuances and stuff. So it happens naturally.
Yeah.
So that's a plus. I like that.
So we give a thumbs up to the HuffPost Weddings article, 10 Best Things About Marriage.
I agree.
You agree? All right, awesome.
I agree. All right,
I
let's
love
get to
it.
the single life.
Woo! I know, right? Now it's time for Laura Bellotta. I hope I'm saying that the right way. And her website is singleinthecity.com. And I lifted this right off her website. So she talks about the 10 best things about being single. Now, let me preface this with, because this is part of my book that's coming out. I do talk a lot about a shame-free singlehood. So basically, the gist of the article is she's wanting people to not feel bad about being single, because for whatever reason, there is this sort of stigma that it's automatically assumed that you feel bad because you're single, or we just do decide to feel bad because we're single, because it's like, I don't know, there's some unwritten rule that it's all about coupling. Now, the one thing I did learn is that statistically, this is the first time in the existence of man, and I don't know if I'm misquoting, please correct me in the Facebook Live or whatever, where once the institution of marriage was invented, that there are more single people than there are married people, and there are a statistically high number of single women in this country, like I think the highest that there ever was in this country.
Really?
Yeah, like single women outnumber married women in this country now, and that never used to be the case. Like, this is the first time for that. So, right, and what she's basically doing is she's trying to make everybody feel good about being single. But I read the list, and it's not that I don't agree with a lot of it, but we'll go through it, and I'll tell you why. To me, it's kind of like a little bit of a like a condescension, or like a little bit of okay, so the first one she says is, the day is your own. You don't have any responsibility. Go and do what you want today. You don't have to worry about anyone else. Now, I think that might be true if you're single and I don't even want to say that, because there are 23-year-olds who have things to worry about. I think the assumption that because you are single, that you don't have to do anything for anyone else, or that you don't have any responsibility. You have to do it for yourself. But also, like, if you are part of any sort of community or any other partnerships, part of a business, if you work, if you have people you love, I have my 6-year-old Yogi I sometimes take care of. Like, if you have people that you take care of or look after, even volunteerism, you have responsibilities to other people. So, I mean, I think I get what she's saying, like, the day is your own, get excited, you're single. But that's not necessarily true. You know, like, I think that's a misnomer that, you know, you have no responsibility because you're single. You also have, you know, like you said, responsibility to yourself, financial responsibility, you know, all of that stuff. And parents, especially as we're getting older,
exactly.
You have responsibility to your parents. You know, what do you think about that, Liz?
I mean, maybe I'm not reading that much into it. Like, not to that point that, because she's calls herself single in the city, so I'm thinking she's light and fluffy. And so, like, the day is your own, so you don't have, like, necessarily to check in with somebody, like a partner, you know what I mean? Like, my husband knows that I'm here with you, and then we have, you know, arrangements so he can go pick me up, you know, when I get home or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, I just feel like she's just like, yeah, you can go this way. Like, somebody decides to, like, go happy hour on a Monday, you can do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think maybe that's where her comment is coming from.
Well, I agree. Like, I definitely think that she's taking it all from a standpoint of, like, you know, being light and everything like that. But I also think that there's this perpetuation of, like, the trivialness of singlehood. So I don't think there's anything wrong with being light, you know, and coming from that standpoint of making it sort of like, oh, here's the fun part of it. But also, I think that part of the reason that people feel the shame that they feel about it is that there's this, like I said, I come from a family where everybody's married. I have 2 sisters, they're both married. So the assumption is because you're single, you don't have anything to worry about. You know what I mean?
Almost.
So yeah. And I think that is why there is such a stigma around being single for single people. Like, there's this, like, but that's not true. Like, me and my best, Sonia. So me and my best friend talk about this all the time because she's in a similar situation with her family. It's like, you know, this assumption that because you don't have kids and a husband that you are then free to do whatever because there's nothing that's important enough for you to be occupied with something else. I think that that's part of what just perpetuates the idea of, like, you know, singlehood there's a trivialness to it. Your life is just as important when you're single as it is when you're married, and what's important to you is just as important as, you know, a husband is just as important as, you know, someone that you've committed to in a business partnership or volunteerism or people that you just care about because you choose them, you know, as your friends and family. It's not the same relationship, but it's still important.
All right, next point, Missy.
Right? I mean, I don't want to take out of the fun of it or anything like that, but, you know, like, I definitely don't want anybody out there feeling single shame. So then the next one she says is money. She says it can be expensive being part of a partnership, buying gifts, paying for dinners and vacations, etc. Right now, enjoy spending your money on you. Buy that purse you always wanted or take that trip to Europe you've been mulling over.
That's true, but also you, like, split the cost when you're in a partnership. So,
right?
Yeah, she's wrong on that one. And I still spend the money on my trip to Europe, or, you know what I mean? Like, if you still, I don't know, it's
because I feel like even in bad relationships, it was cheaper to be in it because there's somebody else paying for things, you know, or helping or whatever. The third one is you can get that pet you always wanted. That one I agree with. It's almost like,
didn't we have that conversation?
We did have that conversation.
I'm like, I want a dog. My husband doesn't want a dog.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And my ex wanted to, like, decide exactly what kind of dog it had to be if we were to get a dog. And
I think it's a man thing.
Yeah, like, no.
It's like, I don't want a dog, but if we're getting a dog, it's got to be a German Shepherd.
Right.
No. I'm like, no.
No. Like, let me decide. And also, too, not only can you get that pet you always wanted, like, if you want that pet because you feel single or lonely, then, you know, it's all about what you want. It's like,
well, isn't a pet a good way to meet people?
Totally. It totally is. Whenever I have Haru, who's our house guest, if you were here since the beginning, you heard him barking in the beginning. Whenever I have him, he is like a total man magnet. Like, I meet so many people walking around with Haru. It's good.
I want
Well, I hope not. So then she says, you can live wherever you like, even in another country. That's
She has
true.
a point.
I mean, it's kind of true. Like, it also speaks back to like whatever you're committed to. Like, you know, I have been working from home for a while, so I don't necessarily have a job. Like, I could do the laptop life thing, but I do have people that I really care about that it wouldn't be such a quick, easy decision to just be like, all right, I'm up, I'm out of here, and knowing that I wasn't going to be able to see those people on a regular basis anymore. You know, it would be different than being married, but you know, yeah, I mean, it's true, but it's still, there's still a weight to it, you know? It's not like, okay, bye. Although for some,
Yeah.
you know, you don't have to worry about things like looks, grow that beard or dye that hair, express yourself and be you.
Do you really have to?
I hope not.
No.
Do you worry about that?
Yeah, like,
Yeah, that went out.
Okay. Yeah, no say. This really was yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if I ask for opinion, that's one thing, but not
Like his, yeah.
wrong again.
And I think too, that speaks to like the quality of your relationship, because I have been in relationship with someone who did feel like they needed to have a say. And I've seen that in other relationships. And to me, that doesn't seem like love to me. Not saying obviously you're not going to do some drastic thing and have them be okay with it. Like, you know, shave your head completely bald, get a tattoo, and then put a ring through your nose. Like, obviously, your partner's going to want to be able to say, well, honey, discuss it. But if you're with somebody, right? But if you're with
About it.
But if you're with somebody who like constantly wants to have set, like, you know, what you're wearing, how you wear your hair, what color.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's an opportunity to focus on your friends and cultivate new friendships. That's true. Yeah.
I agree.
I agree with that.
You know, you have more time to just go and like we said, get together with whatever. You don't have a time frame for things. So
you don't have to be home at a certain time.
All right, finally. What is a single in the city?
Right? No, yeah, no, definitely. You get to have as much me time as you like.
That's true.
That is true. I mean, you definitely get to have as much as you like, depending on how you commit yourself to things, right? So you can sort of be autonomous with your schedule and decide how that's all going to go. But then it's like, I don't know. I feel like there's those points of, and I know for myself, there's definitely points of loneliness where it's like, you know, I love my me time. I love being on my own. Don't get me wrong. But then you're like, yeah, like I wish somebody was here to tell me about my hair. Yeah. Or, you know, like I don't know. Like it is true. You do get to arrange your own me time. Unless you do like I did, like in my 30s, which was like I was like a workaholic. And so you know, there has to be balance. And I also think you have to know the importance of me time to arrange that for yourself. I think a lot of us, especially single women in particular, because we are our own survival, it's like workaholism and really devoting to career without being very proactive about me time tends to be a problem. Like that balance is not there. That was the case for me for a long time. Okay. Yeah. Number 8, what do you want to do in life? Oh, are you in a career that inspires you? Are you passionate about what you do every day? Being single is a great opportunity to really dig deep and tap into your innermost desires and take action to make them become a reality. You have complete freedom to focus solely on that career or that passion. That is true.
I agree.
And I think it's a great time to do it.
I think so too, because you're not having to consider somebody else's, you know, opinion about what it is they decide to do. Like if you decide to work from home, you know, you're forgoing a lot of things like insurance and, you know, 401ks or, you know, whatever. Like you're always having to hustle.
Totally.
And some people may not be comfortable with that fluctuation in income and that lifestyle. So I think, if you're single, like, and you have a goal that you want to do, like that's the time to work.
Perfect time. And it says time. The last 2, I'm going to have to rush through them because we're at 8:53. This is going so fast. The last 2, 9 is time to focus on your health and your body. I agree with that. Mm-hmm. Right. And then 10, you get to learn about who you are, build confidence, and love yourself.
I agree.
Yeah. And I actually really love that one because I think that is what the purpose of singlehood is is it's a time to grow yourself, transform yourself, become who it is you want to be with. You know, and just develop yourself in a way that your next relationship, you don't bring the old stuff from the old relationship. Your next relationship just gets better than the last, and you learn.
I'm giving you the side eye.
Why? You don't believe that?
I'm like, because everybody brings baggage from every relationship.
But that's the point. Like, if you use your singlehood, and this is what my book is about. If you use your singlehood to have that growth and that transformation, you don't have to bring that. You're right. Most people do. Mm-hmm. Like that is generally what people do, but it's not something that has to be. There is a possibility, there is room for and that's what I'm doing right now. Like, I'm spending this time with myself, having come from what was a mutually abusive relationship, not wanting to bring into a new relationship what I had in that old relationship. So, you know, I think that singlehood is a perfect opportunity to like really transform and grow and get really present to like, you know, what was I responsible for in that relationship, and how can I heal it and not, I hate this phrase work on it, because I don't believe it's about working on it. It's about being in discovery and growth and all of that. How can I learn from it and overcome the challenges with myself and become who I want, so that I don't have to bring that baggage into the next relationship? I love that you said that, because that's totally what my book is all about.
Good segue, and I didn't even know.
Right? That was perfect. Awesome.
So we covered all 10. Yay.
We covered all 10. Listen, Liz, you're going to have to come back, because I feel
anytime. I'm like, this is like,
right?
You know?
It is. We're going to have wine next time. And I feel like,
better.
Right? There's so many things to talk about, and there's still so much, because I want to make sure to get the 3 things to make love and life sweeter. I want to give you a chance to sign off. I feel like there's so much more that we can cover. So we're going to have to, you know, put a date in the calendar.
Part 2.
Yes, absolutely. And there might be a tray and a quadrant, whatever.
Yeah.
So here's the that's it for that. Thank you, everybody who was listening in and, you know, enjoying that. Hopefully you got a little bit of nuggets and wisdom, and, you know, even if it's just about finding some resonance and sameness. I think that that's how we operate as a community. That's how we heal, is the understanding that we're not alone in any of our bullshit.
Oh my God, that is so important.
Right?
Exactly. You just feel like the world's on your shoulders sometimes and nobody understands.
Nobody but me.
And right? Then, like we said before, we should have talked before.
Hello. So many similar things we've been through. It's true. So 3 ways to make love and life sweeter this week. Number 1, get clear about what you want in a relationship if you are single. And even if you're not single and your relationship is not quite where you want it to be, get clear about what you want, why you want it, and who you want it to be with. Hopefully, if you're in a relationship, it's with the person you're with. But if not,
oh, that'd be awkward.
Right? Awkward. But still, it means it's time to get clear. Number 2, have a conversation with someone you think has what you want. Ask them what it's really like for them. Listen to their answers. So all you single ladies out there who are like, I want to get married, talk to some people who have what you think you want, and really like have a deep conversation about what it is, what it means, and where your expectations are in relationship to what that is. Number 3, give yourself a break. You are exactly where you need to be to grow and learn and be challenged to have everything that you want. La Liz, what say you for everybody going out for this week? What's your sign off?
My sign off is be present, which is kind of the last point that you said. Be present, which is really hard. It sounds easy, but just be in the moment, because that moment is what you have control over, not, you know, what's going to happen or what happened before. And a lot of us tend to get stuck on what happened before.
Yes.
And I don't know if you could replay in your head and how you have arguments and how you would have handled this and how you would have, and that's no longer part of you. That's your past.
Yes.
And being in the moment is something that we struggle with, because things are coming at you so fast, and you're like, you know, making plans and one, you know, from one point to the other, and you just have to like relax, take a breath, you know, take in your environment, take in, you know, your friendships, your relationships. Yeah, I think those are the parting words. It's just being in the moment, being present.
That. Yes, I love that. Yes, honey. Your first visit, La Liz is going to be coming back. We're definitely going to have her back. It could be a whole series. We'll work it out. We'll figure out the dates. So now here is the question for the week. And, you know, I leave you with a question. This question is not to have you in a space of like overanalyzing, analysis paralysis. This question is just to open up to somebody. Courtney, hi, I'm Valerie, Rory, Julie. Hi, Julie. I haven't seen you in so long. I just want to say hi if you're still here. So this question is just to have you be in a space of exploration. The beginning of transformation is always the willingness to get into awareness and to observe ourselves and to know that our thoughts are just our thoughts and our perceptions are just our perceptions, and that we have the right to choose at any time. And like Liz said, to be present, to be in the moment that we're in. So the question for this week, am I ready for what I say I want in my love life? So if, right? Like for me in particular, I know, that I say that I want this partner in crime, this person who is powerful and, just meets me with the same level of energy that I bring. I say that's what I want, but then I think about it and I'm like, well, the energy that I bring can be very overwhelming. So if I were to meet someone who came with that same amount of energy, it might work, it might be wonderful, or it might not be. It might cancel each other out, right? Yeah. It might not be so wonderful. So, it's just a question of exploration. Oh, we have 40 seconds. So am I ready for what it is I say I want? If anything comes up for you, you want to talk about it, you can always email me at askforcandypodcast@gmail.com, and then we can talk about it next week. Until next time, never forget that you are a love machine. If you ever start to feel like you're not getting the love you need, just make more. Thank you, Liz, for being on the show.
This is so much fun.
Thank you, everybody who's on Facebook, everybody's on the TuneIn app, everybody who's in the garden. Thank you for listening in. There'll be a replay on Spreaker.
User left your channel.
Thank you. Oh, Angela just came for live. All right, the radio people have left. Thank you, radio people. Thank you, Jim, the producer. The live people, the Facebook live people, thank you all for being here. Angela, thank you for being here. She says, thanks for another great show.
Aww.
I love you guys. I'm going to be posting these on YouTube. So if you missed anything and you want to go back, you can go back and watch it on YouTube. All right. Bye, everybody. Love you.